What's good, tribe? You're locked in with TNT, the True North Tribe podcast, where we talk real love, real money, and real life without fluff. I'm Dion.
And I'm Taji. And every week we're going to chop it up about relationships, finances, mindset, and how couples can grow
Together.
together without losing the love.
Let's start with this. Relationships today are wild. Like, we love each other, but do we really be relating anymore?
Right, because be honest, a lot of couples wake up, go to work, come home tired, talk about bills, talk about what didn't get done, and then wonder why the sparks feels low.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? I was talking to a colleague, right, a business partner, the other day, not too long ago, and they were just telling me how when they get home, they're not talking about their future anymore.
Yeah.
They're talking about bills, like it's bills and problems. And I feel like, that's a problem to have, right? We have to be better with that because we can't lose that connection that brought us together.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And I hear that more often than not. I learned that when somebody I know, I won't say any names, went to couples therapy, and um the therapist basically tried to give them a practice to do because they're so used to just the monotony of every day, the stress of bills, kids, stuff like that. So that ends up becoming routine. Once you come from work, you come in, you guys are tired from the day, and you just go over the same thing. It's all routine, and nothing is there to keep the fun alive, keep the spark alive. So, one thing that they mentioned doing was to get out of the house,
Mm,
and when you're out of the house, you're not allowed to talk about any of the stressors that come from the house.
that's a good one. And I think that's a good one because we're at a point where roommate energy is taking over.
Hmm.
For a lot of people, right? Um, they still love each other, but they're like disconnected. They stop dating and start co-managing life for real. And you know, there's a couple reasons why I believe connection is starting to fade or fade away, right? And it's not to point blame to any specific spouse. I don't think it's the spouses specifically. I just think we don't have a roadmap. We weren't really given, the blueprint of how to discuss those important things that, cause a lot of stress.
Right, right. We don't have the right tools. It's not common. It's not common practice. It's not every day that we learn or study the tools to be able to not only cope with these stressors, but how to get above them and keep them, in their respective box, because that should be separate. Yes, these are priorities that we have to take care of, but that is not what the relationship is about. That's not what the relationship is built on, and that's not why we got together.
Yeah. And that's really the thing. You said something, if you can elaborate on this a little bit. You said something the other day when we were talking. And I heard it from a colleague as well, and it was very interesting. Um, the tabs, right?
Mm.
At some point in our life, we have, and this is everybody, but you explain having tabs open in your mind that needed to be closed down. Explain that a little more.
Yeah, so uh everybody out there, I'm not sure if you have experienced this, but I know you know what I mean when you're on your phone or you're on your computer and you're constantly searching through things. You have a window open You want to get back to that window, so you leave it open and you go search in another tab for something else. Then you want to get back to that at some point, so you leave that open and you go search for something else in another tab. Over time, you end up, I want you guys to all check your phones. Check your phone, check your computer, see how many tabs you have open right now.
I'm a tab junkie.
I know my baby is good for having, over 100 tabs open at one time and maybe 30 apps open at one time. So,
Definitely.
and I'm not too much better with that either, but just as that can kind of slow down your phone or your computer, it's the same thing with us, as humans, with our minds. And you might have a tab open for a chore that you want to get done. You might have a tab open for a bill that needs to be paid. You might have a tab open for something you want to do with the kids, something you want to do with your significant other. Oh, I have to call and check in with this person. I forgot to, touch bases with mom, or whatever the case may be. And unless we are taking care of those things,
Hmm.
when they arise, or at least I think it would be more beneficial to at least get them out of your mind and onto paper, or, onto, you know, some type of note or something. But we constantly go through life with all of these, tabs open that we, want to get to at some point. And without us accomplishing those things, or talking about, the heavy conversations, or, whatever the case may be, those tabs stay open. And the more tabs you have open, the harder it can be sometimes to, stay focused on, something positive, or be present in the moment with your partner or with your family. Um,
And I want to touch on something you said.
yeah,
Um, I think it's important to realize when we do have this, um, it it gets to that point where the pressure is when you have your back against the wall, and
yes,
at times when all of that is there, and we're faced with all of these things, most people tend to shut down,
yeah.
right? So then there's more of a
I'm one of those people.
yeah, so there's more of a disconnect there, right? And it's imperative that as partners, as lovers, when you have your significant other, that we continue to speak on the things that deem itself hard,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Because we don't. At the end of the day, we are lovers. We don't want to be coworkers. We don't want to have that type of energy. We don't want to have that type of energy where when we are speaking and discussing, it isn't really beneficial. We're not moving any needles because it's always about the same things over and over again. And it's not just us or a little bit of people. It's happening.
Yeah, yeah. Studies show that money is one of the top reasons couples argue. About 1 in 3 couples say finances are a main source of conflict.
And that makes sense. We're living in a crazy world right now. Everything is going up, right?
Yeah.
We're originally from Miami,
Mhm.
and Miami is up there with New York, Cali. Everything going up. Gas going up. Groceries. Groceries are designer prices at this
Right.
point, right? But our paychecks aren't moving. And
Right. you you can look at a job posting and it'll say competitive salary, but competitive against what? Competing against these bills.
definitely,
Your salary is competing against these bills, and it's not winning.
it's not at all. It's not at all. And we keep wanting to get ahead, and that brings a lot of stress into the conversation, right? Like that's where the disconnect start to show up. That's when the impatience happens. That's where we lose intimacy as couples, and when we start to treat each other in ways that we don't mean to because of those tabs, other things start to bother us. Like, let's keep it real. We've had moments, babe, where we looked at each other and was like, yo, is everything straight? We good? And it's
Yeah.
not because we didn't love each other. it's just there's times where, and I like to say honestly, we do a good job, and we have done a good job at, you
Absolutely.
know, growing through our struggles financially,
Yeah.
right? And again, there is no perfection, but in the world, I grew up in a household, and a lot of people are in households where that just brings them down. It really brings them down, and you want to get over that hump. You want to get over that hump.
Yeah. When people are financially stressed, they don't open up more. They, like you said, they tend to shut down. So instead of actually communicating about, the situations at hand, couples just end up coexisting.
Mm. Yeah, that's that roommate energy we talked about. And
Right.
then later it's like, dang, what are we arguing about? Why are we going through this? Why are we pissed? And we're not really looking, we're looking at, oh, somebody forgot to pick up something off the floor, when it's
Right.
really because of the stressors or the
Or the
tabs.
tab. Yeah.
There's tabs open, and we just aren't dealing with them, so they're dealing with us.
Right. That's
Yeah,
a good way to put it. That's
yeah,
a good
they're
way to
dealing
put
with.
it.
So yeah, man. So I I want everybody to understand this podcast isn't anti-money, right? It's not at all. Money matters, right? What was the saying we heard? It's a saying you love from T. Harv Eker.
Um, like when people say what's more important, your your arm or your leg, and it's like both.
Yeah,
I want
and
them
what?
both, money or love. When people say, would you prefer money or would you prefer love? I
Yeah,
want them both.
yeah, and it's to say, like, the basically to talk on the importance of money. Money is still important, right? Money is still important. It affects where we live, where you live, how you eat, how you travel, just how we show up in the world.
Yeah.
That's what money does. It really puts us in a position to, it opens doors for us the more that we're able to utilize it as the tool it is.
Yeah. But when we don't, you know, believe what we don't believe in is, money being this scary thing that, comes up only when something goes wrong. Um, something that actually Dean Graziosi said, um, you know, was it him? Actually, I think it was.
Don't
I
quote him.
don't quote me. You can check, but I think it was Dean Graziosi when he mentioned you know, how people say money doesn't solve everything, but it can solve most things, right? If you can cut a check for a problem, it can solve that problem,
Hmm.
and I think
Hell yeah.
and but not having it is almost like, when you're gasping for air. Like if someone's choking
Mm,
you, the only thing you're thinking about is that next breath, right?
mm.
That's not something that you typically think about in your day to day. You're not thinking about breathing, right? And that's how money or finances or, financially related things should be. However, when we're strained, it becomes like we're choking and, all we can think about is, that next dollar, that next check.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
That is. That is. I'm sitting with it for a little bit. But that's a good one because, it when we do that, when I think of just how, and of course this isn't about the law of attraction, but when we're trying to manifest something, it's impossible to manifest something when we feel strained by it, when we feel like it's choking us, when we feel like,
Yeah.
we actually act against it,
Yeah.
right? So it's important that we continue to, learn and understand money, right? Understand how it works, and do so together. It's important that you grow with your partner as a team.
Absolutely. Because,
Yeah,
when couples grow financially together, they grow emotionally too.
and that's imperative. The only thing I like to say, the only thing in life that is consistent is change.
Yeah.
right? Change is consistent. So we have to continue to change with the times,
Yeah.
and we have to continue to grow with the times. It's really imperative that we do that. And that's why we created this podcast, right? We created True North Tribe because we did see too many couples losing connection. We're at a point where couples ain't coupling no more. And I don't think it's because they don't care. I think
Yeah.
it's just because nobody's really giving us a roadmap of how to grow together, especially in the long term, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And this podcast is about conversations people aren't having. That's the whole point. Money, mindset, health, stress, love, and how all of that is connected.
yeah. They all are branches of the same tree.
Mm, yeah.
They are all branches of the same tree. So, what we're gonna do, we're gonna talk about real financial education. Real relationship dynamics, real mindset shifts. There's going to be some laughs. There's going to be some real things that we're going to continue to talk on. Some popular topics and a lot of financial growth. A lot of things that's going to help us and not just us, help you all move the needle in your life. So we're going to keep it honest. We're going to keep it authentic. We're going to keep it fun, and we're always going to keep it practical.
Yeah. And for those couples who want, more structure, more support, and more community, there is a space for that. But first, we want you thinking differently.
We
You
got to
know,
switch those paradigms.
yeah, we got to tap into that mindset first.
Yeah. So, this week I and I say this week, but it's more of an episode. After this episode, check in with your partner. 10 minutes, right? Set aside 10 minutes. Remove all distractions. Put the kid to bed. Give them a grandma, a nanny, a babysitter.
Yeah.
Remove the distractions. Right now, it's about you and your significant other, right? And talk about the stresses y'all are feeling about the relationship, right? And talk about the stresses not only about finances though. Really have the conversation and release, right? It's time to release. You got to release that and then talk about one thing you want to work toward together, right? You
Yeah,
you you got to be able to do that. You got to be able to release so something can replace.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah. So break things down so that you can build on top of it.
definitely.
Yeah. So then, after you work on that, ask each other this. If money wasn't stressing us out, what would we be doing together right now? You know, it's important to bring that connection back. So, not only, like he said, not only releasing, the stressors or the things that are on your mind, but now let's also think positive. Let's also think where we want to go with things. Let's think about how we want to bring the fun back in. What are, the things that we want to strive for? What are the things we want to accomplish?
Yeah, I'm a big believer in a man or a woman without vision perishes,
Yeah,
right? You got to be able to look into your future and see what you're working towards. You can't just always look at what's happening right now and going through the motions of paying bills and living that 40 years to retire mindset, right? It's time to start moving the needle because in 40 years, I can't guarantee this, but things won't be the same. The whole financial system is not going to be like the way it is now, so we got
you
to
can
work on.
guarantee that. Just like you said, the one thing that's constant is change.
Yeah.
So it will not be the same.
it,
Now, to what degree, that's what you can't guarantee, but you can guarantee that it will not be the same as
yeah,
it is today.
it won't at all. So it's imperative that we get on top of that, right? Look, relationships, they don't fall apart overnight.
Yeah,
It tends to fall off slowly and slowly, and that's when the pressure replaces presence. When you're
right.
no longer there with your partner, when you are thinking about all those tabs you have open in your mind, so you're not paying attention to the tab that's right there in front of you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So that's the point. That's the whole point of this podcast. It's about helping couples to reconnect, to grow, and to build something meaningful together.
Together.
That's what this is all about.
And this is about staying true to your true north. Listen, listening is powerful, but growth happens when you take action.
That's why we built True North Tribe.
It's a space for couples who want to strengthen their relationship, improve their finances, and grow together. So if you're interested at all, the link is in the description to join our community of like-minded individuals following their true north. Thank y'all for tuning in. This is only episode 1.
Episode 1 in the books.
And there's more to come.
Stay tuned.
Peace.